traumatic birth. And we were talking through it, and I said, maybe for you, a healing birth would be a family-centered cesarean. Yeah. You know, or talking to another mom who just, I just need to have that experience and have that birth where I've had a VBAC or a home birth, or I've been supported by the women around me. And that's what she needs to heal as a woman and a mother. And that's okay. We all care about the safety of our children, by the way. I'm sure some of you have been told, oh, well, I care about the safety of my child, so I'm having this kind of birth. Right, you're right, I don't care about my kid. I just care about, you know, pushing them out of my house because I want to look cool, you know. No, we all care about the safety of our kids. But we also care about ourselves, and that's okay. Because who's going to be the mother to that child?
Alex.
And also, let's talk about dads. Dads have birth trauma too. They do. Have any of you read the blog post by my husband about that? He wrote a blog post. What's it called? Something dads trauma too. Birth out fear, dads and birth trauma. Google. And he talks in there about our births and how traumatizing it was to watch his wife railroaded through a couple births, to be dropped from care by midwives, to be told she couldn't birth her babies, to be treated the way she was in the hospitals, to have social services called on her. By kid number 4, he's like, we are doing this alone. I'm not letting anyone else near you. Let me wrap my mind around that. And we did, but that's why. And so our 4th birth that we had a baby we had at home was not just healing for me, it was healing for my husband.
One of my friends
He sat there with me and cried and said, we did it. No one has bothered us, no one has traumatized us. We simply had a baby, and it was beautiful. And he told me, he will tell you actually, that the birth of our 4th child was the best day of his entire life. His wife pushed out a baby, and he caught that baby, and it was a wonderful, beautiful experience. It was healing for both of us. It doesn't erase the trauma that I've had from other births, but it sure as heck helps healing, and for my husband as well. And so many of you have experienced birth trauma, and you're planning on having more children. You decide what a healing birth is for you, and then you pick care providers that will support you in their choices. And so after baby number 4, that's how Birth Out Fear was born. I thought, what was the difference between my other births and my 4th birth? And it was because, yes, I had a birth out fear, but the reason was because I worked through my fears, and then I put what I call a bubble around me. Bubble. And if you cannot support me within that bubble, you get a throat punch out of my bubble. I'm serious. You don't support me when I'm doing, you don't need to be in my bubble. Because I'm the one that has to birth this baby, and I'm the one that has to live with how this birth goes. Right? So I thought, oh, I'll just create a Facebook page. I want all women to know they have choices. Many women are like, I didn't even know that I didn't have to have a episiotomy. I didn't know that I didn't need to be induced at 39 weeks just because. I didn't know. They just don't know. It's not that women are walking around like, oh, they just don't know. Nobody's told them, like, I have a choice. We're raised thinking that birth is a certain way on TV and shows and media, and, you know, our grandmother's twilight burst, and, you know, this is what we're grown up believing. We don't even realize we have a choice in how we birth. So I thought, I'm just going to tell them. I'm going to tell women that they have a choice. And so I started Birth Out Fear, because I'm lazy. I didn't want to do a blog. So a few months after I had the Facebook page, people were like, you need a blog. What? So I went to my husband and said, I need a blog. He said, okay, and he made a blog. And so Birth Out Fear has now been around for 3 years. And the whole point is just to tell women, you have a choice. Here are your options. Now let us support you in that choice. And that was a hard road for me. Because when I first started Birth Out Fear, I had my soapbox out all the time. Like, everyone just needs to birth how I did. And I shortly realized I have to meet women where they're at. We're all on our own journey. We're all creating our own story. And we have to meet women where they are at and support them where they're at. And so, for a while there, with Birth Out Fear, I had people hating me because I only promoted natural birth, they thought. And then I had other people hating me because I supported not natural birth. I'm just supporting birth people. I'm supporting women and their choices in that, because it's such an important part of our lives. And so it's evolved into a community to where we can finally do that. We can support each other in the choices that we make. Then I had kid number 5. Anyone want to hear about that? I don't talk about that. There's a reason. So were any of you following me when I was pregnant with Minnie? Yeah. So we have 5 kids because we like each other a lot. And we're Mormon. So we feel we have to personally multiply and replenish the earth. Anyways, so we had our 5th kid about 2.5 years ago. Now, I am an elephant and carrying my babies forever. So at about 42 weeks, it was supposed to be a midwife-assisted birth. And at 42 weeks, I was having very intense prodromal labor. And my midwife called me and said, she's a friend of mine too, but she said, January, I need you to go in and get an ultrasound and a non-stress test, and we need to make sure baby's doing okay so that I can continue, to be your midwife. I'll get back to you. 3 days later, January, is a text. Are you gonna go in and do that? No, I'll just do this by myself. I am 42.5 weeks, I'm exhausted from this prodromal labor. The last thing I want to do is get in a car today and drive and get an ultrasound. I told you I'm stubborn. I said, I'll just do this unassisted. It's fine, I got this. No, that's really what happened over text. And she's like, I completely support you in your choices, which is why I love her. She was like, you're awesome, it's gonna be great, let me know if you need anything. And I thought, I'm gonna be having a baby in a day or 2. Then I got to 43 weeks. And I told my husband, maybe we need to go in and have an ultrasound. I'm all about doing things when I want to do them, And so we did. And, she's like, you're about to have a baby, really? She's like, but everything looks good, and he's facing your left leg a lot. Kind of like my 3rd baby. I thought, okay. So I went home, and I would start what felt like early labor. Pretty intense for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then it would stop. And it was exhausting. And I had been pregnant for like 10 or 11 months. And I decided one morning that I was going to IKEA. If I'm going to be 43.5 weeks pregnant, I might as well go enjoy myself. So we went to IKEA with 2 kids while 2 were at school. And that's when labor decided to begin, right? So I'm walking around IKEA and I saw like, And people are like, what in the world? Just in labor here, it's fine. Baby is not gonna fall out right here. If that happened, that'd be great. My babies don't fall out. So we walked around IKEA forever because it's huge. And we went home and, we got the kids. And I love the idea of having my kids at birth, but my labors don't pick up until they're in bed. I need that space. So we got them in bed, and active labor really kicked into gear. And about every 3 to 5 minutes I was having contractions. And they hurt so bad. And I thought, I am just a failure. My 4th birth was pretty much a painless birth because I was just in it. But this baby was not positioned well. So what would happen is I'd have these contractions, and as my uterus is tightening, my baby's trying to turn to get into an optimal position, but couldn't stay there, so then would turn back. And that hurts. And so I did that all night long. I sat up and listened to the train go through our town all night.